Hi, so this is video 2 for Unit 1 of Reading Hack, videos to support the teaching of the Reading Hack Phonics programme, and today we're going to be thinking about visual discrimination. So, visual discrimination. We're talking about the ability of the student to be able to distinguish between letters and words that look similar. And this is really important because a student's going to struggle to read if they can't, for example, successfully see the differences between the letters A and O. And if we were working with the student on these two letters, we would talk to them about how they look the same and how they look different. So, for example, A and O are both round in shape, but the A has a tail on the side, so it looks different to the O. And it's important to use the letter sounds rather than the letter names when we're talking to a student, because they're working from a phonics programme and using the letter names can be confusing for them early on in the process. So we'll stick to A and O. We might also find that L and T look quite similar, so we get the student to talk about those. They're both straight lines, they've both got flicks at the bottom, but only the T has a line crossing through it. N and M are also two letters that could be confused by the student in the early stages. And it doesn't matter so much how the student chooses to describe these two letters, the important thing is that they're starting to see the differences in the appearance of them. Now, B and D are two letters which often do cause confusion for students. Sometimes this confusion can last into later of the reading process. So Reading Hack deals with B and D specifically later on for students who are still struggling to really see when it's B and when it's D in their reading. So if you were to go to Education Hack and download the worksheets that go with this section, this is one that you would find, and here we're starting with a Y and we're trying to find the Y in this string of letters which arguably are sort of similar in shape, and I'd want the student to put a circle around them or use a highlighter pen or put a line across them, and this worksheet can be downloaded as many times as is needed. Now sometimes worksheets aren't the be-all and end-all, and there are other things that can really help the learning process. And with looking at the differences between letters, just sort of building it into daily activities can be really helpful. So for example, looking at street signs when you're out and about, any letters that can be recognised on there. Looking at the letters in the book that you share at bedtime and asking questions about them. Pick a letter. What does this letter look like? Can you find another letter that looks the same? Another one. How many of this particular letter can you see on this page? Can you find a letter that looks almost the same? So for example, if you'd picked an O, a letter that looks almost the same might be an A, or even a P or a D or a B, any letter that's got a circular component to it. What is the same and different about these two letters that we've chosen? Now can you find a letter that looks completely different? Describe it to me. Then if all's going well, you can start again. Can you find another letter that looks the same? And so on. When finding individual letters becomes fluent, we can start to do something slightly more complicated where we're picking out words that look the same. So here we've got 5 words, series of 5 words, and what the student's trying to do is pick out the 2 that are the same, even though they all look very similar because they're using the same letters essentially, just sort of jumbled around. So in the first one here, hopefully the student will be able to highlight or circle the 2 beads. And in this one, the 2 words that say crown. Obviously they don't need to read them or any of the individual letters involved, but just notice that the shape the letters make is the same. And this worksheet, along with all the others, can be found at educationhack.co.uk. Thank you.